Some love stories end in silence. Others refuse to die. Ethan thought the river was finally at peace. For the first time in months, the nights were quiet. No whispers, no shadows beneath the surface, no feeling of being watched. Just still water, reflecting a life he was trying to rebuild. Trying, not succeeding, because peace is not the same as healing. He went back to work. He answered messages. He even tried to reconnect with the world he had abandoned. But everything felt distant, muted, like he was living behind glass. Because the truth was simple. He hadn't lost her, he had survived her, and survival has a cost. It started with the dreams again, but these weren't like before. These weren't memories, these were invitations. He stood in the middle of the river, not drowning, not floating, standing, the water perfectly still around him, and across from him, something was watching, not Lira, something older, larger, a presence that didn't move, but filled everything. "You carry her," a voice echoed, not spoken, felt. Ethan tried to move, but his body refused. "What are you?" he asked. Silence stretched. Then, "I am what remains when bonds are broken." He woke up gasping, his chest burning, and for a brief second, he felt water in his lungs. The changes came slowly. At first it was subtle. He could hear things others couldn't. Water dripping in distant pipes, the movement of currents beneath the streets, the faint echo of rivers miles away. Then came the reflection. One night, standing in front of his bathroom mirror, he noticed it. His reflection moved, half a second too late. He froze, watched. It corrected itself instantly, but it was enough. Something was wrong. Days later it got worse. He passed by a fountain in the city square, and the water shifted. Not randomly, not naturally. It leaned toward him, like it recognized him, like it remembered. Halfway through this story, let me ask you something. If you've been following this journey, if you feel the pull of something deeper, darker, something that refuses to let go, consider subscribing, because this story is no longer just about love. It's about what love leaves behind. Ethan began searching again. Old archives, forgotten folklore, things even the internet didn't index properly. And he found something, not about Lira, about what came before her. Ancient texts described entities tied not to a single river, but to all water, not guardians, not collectors. Something far worse, observers, balancers. They didn't feed, they corrected. Whenever something disrupted the natural order, they responded. And what Lira did, breaking the bond, ending the cycle, that wasn't balance, that was defiance. And now, something had noticed. The first real incident happened at the pier. Ethan stood there like he always did. Out of habit, out of longing, out of something he couldn't name. The water was calm, until it wasn't. Without warning, the entire surface darkened. Not shadow, absence. Like the river had depth where there should be none. And then, it rose. Not like a wave, like a wall. Stopping inches from him. Frozen in place, watching him. "You shouldn't exist," the same voice from his dream echoed. Ethan's heart pounded. "What do you want from me?" "You carry what was never meant to be freed, Lira." "I didn't ask for this," he shouted. The water pulsed. "You were chosen." And then, for the first time since she disappeared, he felt her again. Not physically, not visibly, but inside. A warmth, a resistance, a whisper. "Ethan." Everything stopped. The water collapsed back into the river. The presence vanished, and Ethan fell to his knees. "She's still here," he whispered. "But not whole." The truth unfolded slowly. When Lira broke the bond, she didn't just free herself. She split her existence. Part of her dissolved into nothing, but part of her attached to him, protected him, changed him, and that made him something new, not human, not like her, something in between, something the balance did not recognize. Which meant one thing: he wasn't just being watched, he was being hunted. The world began to change around him, water sources reacting unpredictably, rain falling only where he stood, mirrors distorting near him, people feeling uneasy without knowing why, animals refusing to come close. And then came the night everything escalated. A storm unlike anything before, not natural, not random, focused on him. Lightning cracked across the sky, the river roared violently, and from its depths, something rose, not Lira, not human, not even shaped properly, a figure made of water and void, endless, shifting, watching. "You will return what was taken." Ethan stood, frozen. "I can't. You will." The entity moved closer, and the river behind it twisted unnaturally, forming shapes, faces, echoes of every soul it had ever claimed. "You are not meant to carry her." "I didn't choose this," Ethan yelled. "She did." Silence. Then she will be erased. Something inside him snapped. "No." For the first time, he stepped forward, not back, forward. "I won't let you take her." The entity paused, as if confused, as if curious. "You believe you can defy balance?" Ethan's voice shook. "I already have." The storm exploded, water surged toward him. But instead of drowning, it stopped, circling him, responding, because now he wasn't just human. He was connected. The same power that once bound Lira now flowed through him. Unstable, uncontrolled, but real. The river wasn't just trying to take him, it was trying to decide if he could replace her. The realization hit him like lightning. "I'm not your replacement." The entity tilted. "You already are." Everything went silent. And then, inside him, her voice again, stronger this time, clearer. "Ethan, don't let it change you." Tears mixed with rain. "I don't know how to stop it. Then don't fight it alone." For the first time, he understood. This wasn't about surviving. This wasn't about escaping. This was about choosing. The water surged again. The entity moved to consume him, to bind him, to complete the cycle. But Ethan didn't run. He stepped into the river. Pain exploded through his body. Memories flooded his mind. Not his, hers. Centuries of loneliness, of hunger, of obedience. And then, her final moment. Peace, release, love. "I won't let that be erased," he whispered. The water trembled. The entity hesitated. "You cannot hold two existences." Ethan closed his eyes. "Then I won't." Light burst through the water. Not destruction, not control. Choice. He wasn't rejecting her. He wasn't surrendering her. He was sharing. The power split. Balanced. No longer one bound entity. No longer one cycle. Something new. The storm collapsed instantly. The river calmed. The entity dissolved. Not defeated, but withdrawn. Silence returned. Ethan stood in the water, breathing, alive, changed, and for a moment, he felt her beside him. Not trapped, not fading, free. Days passed, then weeks. The world stabilized. Water no longer reacted violently. The presence was gone, watching from afar, maybe, but no longer interfering. Ethan still walks the pier. But now, he's not alone, not in the way he was before. Sometimes, when the wind moves just right, he feels her hand in his, warm, real, not a ghost, not a memory, something in between. And maybe some love stories aren't meant to end or to repeat. Maybe they're meant to become something else. If love could change what was never meant to change, what would you risk to hold on to it? Tell me in the comments, because the river may be quiet, but it's never truly still.